November 2025 is telling us something beyond the shouting headlines. There's something in the undercurrents beneath them. Trust is thinning while rights are being tested, and on top of all of it, the shape of power is shifting. So let's take a closer look at a few things, because what we're going to talk about are stress tests for how our system holds together. A new APAC NORC poll says that only 33% of Americans approve of how President Trump is managing the federal government. That's down from 43% in March, with noticeable drops, even among Republicans. It's easy to blame that on shutdowns or agency shakeups, but there's more to it than that. This is about the consent of the governed, the basic agreement that gives democracy its legitimacy. James Madison called the power of the purse the people's most effectual weapon. When public confidence wavers, Congress, if it chooses to, can use that power to slow things down. And the almighty executive? Well, the Constitution says that power should come with responsibility. Hamilton's word was accountability. In late 2025, we're needing to watch that balance very closely. And meanwhile, in Chicago, federal immigration enforcement ramped up. There have been over 3,200 arrests since the start of the crackdown. Latino neighborhoods have gone silent, and street vendors stayed home out of fear. So neighbors organized bike rides, and they bought out food carts, and they rerouted meals to shelters, and raised funds to keep vendors afloat. Immigration is a federal responsibility, but the government can't force local police to help. That's what the courts have said over and over again. This legal gap becomes a civic gap, and in that gap, people either step up or let folks fall through. And yes, we've seen it before. The Palmer raids in 1920 swept through cities, eerily similar to this. There were mass arrests, and then civil liberties were shaken. And back then, too, local communities had to decide what kind of country they wanted to be. Now let's talk about money. President Trump floated the idea of giving every American a $2,000 tariff dividend. Sounds great, right? The only problem is, much like his 500% cost reduction talking points, the numbers don't line up. Tariffs brought in about $195 billion last year. That's less than 4% of federal revenue. And a universal $2,000 payout would cost hundreds of billions more. But wait, there's more. You don't get checks without Congress. The Constitution says only lawmakers can raise taxes and spend the money. And somehow, even Treasury officials aren't clear on the details of this $2,000 idea. Maybe it's checks, maybe it's a tax cut. I'm going to throw out there that maybe it's a distraction. But regardless, Hamilton didn't design tariffs to fund campaign promises. And let's not forget, tariffs don't hurt China. They're paid by U.S. importers and usually passed down to you at checkout. So together, what do these stories show us? Well, we see approval falling, fear rising, and promises of money with no clear path to get there or anywhere near there. Each one of these is a pressure point on a system that's built to balance power. And that means Congress holds the purse, the people hold the trust, and the president holds the moment, but only as long as the rest of the system holds firm. So here's the question. Are we still living inside the framework of the Constitution, or just tracing its silhouette somewhere back there on the wall? Let me know what you're seeing where you live, because if civic life is under strain, we're the ones who will need to stitch it back together.